Hello and welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI. And we're officially through with the weekend. We're through with opening week. And yes, we got through UCLA's week one game against Utah, which turned out to be probably one of the worst games for someone or some team that had the most anticipation and kind of momentum going into the season. So this episode we're going to talk about just a few takeaways of what I saw, stuff that Deshaun Foster and Nico Iamaleava went ahead and said after the game, and we're just going to get into kind of what I think the implications of this brutal loss. I mean, at 43-10, it was a absolutely brutal loss, and just watching every second of it was, it was really bad. But we're going to get into that, get into some takeaways, get into what comes next. Obviously, week 2 against UNLV, that's going to be probably UCLA's next most important game of the season, just because it has a lot of implications on the trajectory of where the season might go. So we're going to talk about all of that, and let's get right into it. So the first takeaway is something that Bruins fans, Bruins media, pretty much everyone has been talking about since even the first drive of the game, is that UCLA, the defense just could not tackle, and obviously tackling was the big thing, but UCLA's defense in general just came out flat. I mean, really bad. Like Devin Dampier and the entire Utah offense just kind of got whatever they wanted the entire game, and UCLA showed little resistance, and it really didn't help that there were some pretty glaring tackling issues. And that is the first kind of big takeaway that we got from this game, is that UCLA could not wrap up anyone. They couldn't wrap up a single player. Often it took 1 to 2 players to 1 to 2 UCLA defenders to kind of finally bring a Utah running back or even Devin Dampier, Utah tight end, down. And that extends plays. Like, it turned 5 to 10 yard plays, which, by the way, a basis like 5 to 10 yards, that's kind of what it felt like Utah was getting on every single play, was 5 to 10 yards. But anyways, those 5 to 10 yards turned into like 10 to 15 yards just because UCLA couldn't wrap up and couldn't get any tackles. It was the biggest and most glaring issue, I think, of the entire game, and it's going to have to be something that needs to be addressed very soon, because UCLA, I think that the average yards per play that they gave up against Utah, it ranked, I think, near the bottom of all of college football, like 120s. Like, we're talking 120s near the bottom. And UNLV coming up next, their offense gained probably like 5.9 yards per game in these their first 2 games that they've played, and that's near, like, I think top 30, top 20 in all of college football. So I mean, the defense is going to have to be something that needs to be addressed, and more importantly, tackling is what needs to be addressed for UCLA, because if it's going to keep on going like this, then I mean, UCLA might have one of the worst defenses in the nation, and that cannot fly if they want to somehow execute this turnaround. And the big reason for that is you had NFL talent leave for the draft, Carson Schwessinger and Kane Medrano, just to name a few, and you're coming back with at the linebacker position, at least, John Evans, Jalen Woods, Isaiah Chisholm, who actually did quite well. I think Isaiah Chisholm did quite well. He finished with 17 total tackles. But, like, losing all of that talent and not being able to adequately replace them might end up being what's gonna set this UCLA team back. Defense kind of wasn't the I will give credit. Some people really lamented their defense as what could be a potential problem, but what they would also say is that the offense would probably just be able to outscore anyone. And that leads us into our second takeaway, is that the offense just really couldn't get anything going. We're going to start with I guess we could start with Nico. Nico Iamaleava had a really bad game. Passing. He had a really bad passing game, often underthrowing receivers, kind of making the wrong reads. There were a few a few like crucial instances on like second and long or even third down where he had an easy check down to a flat, a running back running a flat that probably could have gained you some extra yardage and get that first down, and he just kind of had his eyes set on what I assume to be the primary receiver. I mean, he was targeting Mikey Matthews quite a bit, and for good reason, because he is a good slot receiver. But I mean, and after that, just like overthrowing, underthrowing, his interception kind of missed the hands of Quasi Gilmer and fell into a Utah linebacker's hands. But I mean, I will say, and I did write about it, kind of graded Nico's performance. I gave it a C. I will say one of the only redeeming qualities he had is that he was really able to show off his wheels and run. He kind of got out of pressure a few times, turned third and long to a few first downs, kind of extended drives a little bit with his legs. But then again, he was getting blitzed a lot. There was a ton of pressure coming his way, and he did get sacked a few times. Probably could have avoided it, but I mean, I still think he did quite well with his legs. It's just passing. He did not have the best passing game. He did finish with the touchdown, but he only completed 11 of his 22 passing attempts. So, I mean, give and take here or there, but it really wasn't a good Nico performance. So, and that leads us to the offense, is that the offense just kind of, didn't show up, and Nico was kind of getting pressured a little bit. You could blame the offensive line, but for the most part, I really do think that Nico was missing some passes, and might just be first game jitters, might be just super amped to be, back on the football field. But then again, it transpired throughout the entire game, and that's something that you really can't have happen. You really need to settle in and start hitting your passes. And speaking of offense, our third takeaway is actually a positive one. Believe me, there is a positive, and I do think that it is Anthony Woods, who is the running back. First of all, UCLA's rushing game in general, between all of their running backs, was abysmal yesterday. On Saturday during their game. It was abysmal. And that's kind of the same problem that they had last season, where they ranked near the bottom in all of college football in rushing offense. And, they had, let me see, I think I wrote it down here. The Bruins, so the three running backs, Javion Thomas, Jalen Berger, Anthony Woods, they ran for just 37 yards on 15 touches, and that's a 2.5 average. Not really good. You're not going to get much going there. But I do think that, he only had 3 rushes, but he did catch Nico's touchdown. Anthony Woods, who came in as running back 3 behind Jet Thomas and Jalen Berger, I do think he showed a lot. I do think he showed a lot of heart. Each of his 3 rushes were very memorable. There was one catch that he had where he turned upfield, sprinted, and trucked one of Utah's defenders, which was pretty electric. And he was really an important spark plug for UCLA. Towards the end of the game. So I do think that the one positive that you can glean from this game is that Anthony Woods is kind of staking his claim for more playing time. Last season he came from Utah, by the way, playing against his former team. He came from Utah, but he didn't play at all last season because of an ACL injury, so he's coming up. He was kind of an unknown all throughout training camp. Even Deshaun Foster said that he was kind of a sleeper going into the season, and I think that sleeper had to come out a lot earlier than maybe he expected, because he did do really good. I do think he was UCLA's best offensive player just because he was super electric, much of a spark plug, and kind of gave you that juice that UCLA needed. But that juice coming from a running back towards the back of the depth chart is only going to do you so much. And so at the end of the day, it's going to have to be up to Nico. It's going to have to be up to Tino's offense to get a little bit more creative. I know you saw those pre-snap movements and motions, but it really didn't produce much, I should say. But I do think that there is still potential for this UCLA offense to kind of get back into form, and I do think it all starts with Nico. So, looking ahead, we do have UNLV. We're going to do a little bit more pods about that, just kind of previewing the matchup leading up to game day. And, that's all we're going to have for today. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.